Hey, I'm Erin Sanchez from the Candid Branding Company, and I help brands tell better stories. Storytelling is one of the oldest forms of communication. In fact, centuries of storytelling has hardwired our brains for stories. So much so that our subconscious brain can't really tell the difference between fact and fiction. Yes, it's true, our logical brain knows that when we're watching a movie, for instance, it's not real life. But our subconscious brain cannot make that distinction. And that's why we cry when the dog dies in a movie, or why a Hallmark commercial can give us goosebumps. And that's great news for you and me as business owners and as marketers, right? The fact that stories can elicit an emotional and physiological response is pretty powerful stuff. Since our brains are hardwired for stories, when information is communicated in story form, it's 22 times more memorable than when that same information is shared as a fact or a statement. And not only that, but stories can increase sales conversion rates by up to 30%. So if you're not using storytelling in your content, on your social media platforms, and in all of your branding and marketing communications, you're missing out. But don't worry, because today I'm going to show you exactly how to start using storytelling in your content. And more specifically, I'm going to teach you 3 types of stories that you can use again and again and again. Sound good? First though, I want to bust just a couple of storytelling myths, because whenever I deliver a talk or a training program, or I begin working with a new client, these same 2 myths repeatedly pop up. Myth number 1, I'm not a good enough writer, or I'm not creative enough. The good news is we're not trying to write the next Harry Potter. We're not trying to be the next Mark Twain. The beauty of strategic storytelling is exactly that. It's strategic. And besides, we are all natural born storytellers. Remember, our brains are hardwired that way. Think about it. When you get together with your friends for lunch, what do you talk about? I'm willing to bet that you exchange stories. The majority of our daily conversations and communications are actually made up of stories. Hey, did you hear what happened to Caroline the other day? Oh my gosh, you will never guess who I ran into. So it's time to get over this idea that you have to be super creative or a mega talented writer, and just lean into those natural storytelling abilities. Myth number 2, stories won't work for my business or my industry. I'm going to let you in on a little secret, and it's one of the many reasons I love storytelling. It's industry agnostic, meaning it can work for any industry, any business, any niche. Because it's not about the industry. It's not about a particular medium. It's about connecting as humans. What's even better is that it's also platform agnostic. It doesn't matter whether your audience is on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or even if they're primarily consuming your marketing content through email. Story-based communications work on any platform and any channel in any industry. But the real question is, what stories should you be telling? In my Storytelling for Sales framework, I map different types of stories to different parts of the sales funnel. Let's look at those now. Today, we're not going to cover the very top of the funnel, the awareness piece, because chances are good that, like most businesses, you're already using social media to generate awareness. What I'm more interested in showing you today, and where I think you're going to get the biggest bang for our 15 minutes together, is in the last 3 stages of the funnel: building interest, creating desire, and getting people to take action. And we do this through 3 kinds of stories, which I call what's possible stories, education stories, and success stories. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through each of these stories as they correspond to the various parts of the funnel. So what is a what's possible story? The name pretty much says it all. I want you to paint a picture of what's possible for your audience, for your customers and clients on the other side of working with you, on the other side of engaging with your brand, on the other side of buying your products or services. For example, consider how Gatorade advertises its sports drinks. Do they focus on the electrolyte content in one bottle? Or how many ounces it has? Do they sell you on how many flavors they offer? Nope. Instead, the commercials will show you a sweaty athlete crossing the finish line after a taxing marathon. Or you'll see a powerhouse weightlifter reaching a new max in the gym. How many of you can picture these commercials in your head right now? Gatorade isn't just giving you a list of facts and features. They're telling you a story of what's possible for you when you have their drink in your corner. So here's what I want you to do. Ask yourself, what's possible for your customers after they work with you? What does our audience aspire to be, to have, and to do? If you can answer these questions, you're well on your way to having a pile of what's possible stories for your social media platforms. Okay, let's move on to the desire portion of the sales funnel. In order to build desire for your products or services, we need to tell education stories. And we've always learned through stories. Think back to your childhood. What kind of fairy tales did you hear? For me, when I was growing up, I heard stories about the little red hen or the boy who cried wolf. And through these stories, we learned why it's important not to lie, or why it's important to pitch in and help around the house. These stories were key to helping our kid brains understand context and to understand what's at stake, for example, if we lie. See, the idea of lying is quite abstract to a small child. But if we tell a story to illustrate the consequences of lying, for instance, people might stop believing you even when you're telling the truth, the child can then grasp the concept a whole lot better. And it's actually not that different for us as adults. At any stage in life, when we're learning something new, a story is a fantastic way to illustrate a new concept or provide that big picture view. But why is education an important factor in sales? Consider the diamond industry. If you've ever gone shopping for an engagement ring, or, looked at engagement rings hoping someone would be shopping for you, you're probably familiar with the 4 C's. The salesperson will bring out a velvety square of black fabric, lay out a few diamonds, and begin to educate you about color, cut, clarity, and carat. They have a methodology for grading the stones according to these various criteria. And as such, they teach you how to identify and select the perfect diamond, which is how they get you with the 5th and hidden C, cost. By educating you about picking the right diamond and what makes this diamond the best one, they've now increased the perceived value of that diamond. And you can do the same thing for your product or your service by educating people about what makes your offer different, special, or better than all the rest. Finally, at the bottom of the sales funnel, we're trying to get our leads off the fence and into taking action, to becoming a customer. But how do we do that? Well, we leverage success stories. If you think about it, the tipping point for many purchase decisions is social proof, aka testimonials and reviews from other customers, clients, and users. How many of you look to the reviews before making a purchase decision? So let me ask you this. Whose opinion do you trust more? One restaurant critic or a handful of ordinary, everyday customers sharing their experiences on Yelp? How about a car salesman? Would you be more likely to listen to the guy who's trying to sell you something or to your sister who has your best interests at heart? Research shows that 91% of millennials, which are now our biggest consumer group, trust reviews as much as they do recommendations from friends and family. And not surprisingly, 83% of people trust reviews over advertising. And not only that, 90% of consumers need less than 10 reviews to form a decision about a business. And this is great news for you because you can leverage just a few really compelling success stories to drive home that trust factor and help your leads make that decision to invest in your brand. Remember, our brains are hardwired for stories, so from this day forward, I want you to take those testimonials one step further. Instead of just collecting a bunch of reviews or generic customer quotes, I want you to layer in that storytelling element. This powerful combination of social proof and storytelling will take your credibility to another level. Are you wondering how to do this? Let me give you a quick side-by-side example of a good old-fashioned testimonial and its spiffier cousin, the success story. This is an example of some work that I did with a career coach named Norma. On the left, you'll see the original review from her clients, and it says, "Norma is great to work with. She knows her stuff and helps you get results. Highly recommend." That's not bad, right? That's nice things to say about Norma. Now let's look at the right side, which is what we ended up with after a story strategy session together. Before working with Norma, I had no profile on LinkedIn, a resume that was 19 years old, and no clue where to start with my job search. In just 4 weeks, she was able to get me aligned with all of that, and I landed a great job. Can you see the difference? Can you feel the difference? The success story really paints a picture of what it's like to work with Norma, where the client was before starting their journey, the pain points they were experiencing, and what it feels like after having worked with Norma, not to mention the incredible results they achieved. So success stories don't just make for great social media content either. They can be the deciding factor in your potential customers' decision-making process. So those are the 3 kinds of stories that you can use in your social media content and in all of your branding and marketing communications again and again and again to captivate your customers, generate more leads, and close more sales. First, tell your target audience what's possible on the other side of working with you or your brand. Then, educate them on your unique process, your differentiator, or your wow factor. And finally, shine a light on those success stories that drive home trust and help your leads see themselves as your successful customers and clients. Look, people love stories. We love them so much, in fact, that we'll watch the same movie several times over the course of our lives. We already know how it's going to end, but the power of a good story draws us in over and over again. That's pretty incredible, isn't it? And the best part, by leveraging strategic storytelling, your brand can entice and activate people in that same powerful way. Are you ready to tell better stories for your brand? In this breakout room, you'll find a couple of PDF downloads to help you get those creative juices flowing. You'll find a story guide which walks you through 5 different story types, as well as a list of resources like blog posts and a 3-part video training series. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to chat with you during the summit.